Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Mark Turner from Turner's Painting School. Today we're going to be looking at tonal values. What are tonal values? Why should we use them? And how can we create them? Tonal values, the Italians use the word chiaroscuro, which means lights and darks. A typical example of that would be a painting by Rembrandt called The Night Watch, a very famous painting that's in the Rijksmuseum Museum in Holland. And if you look at that, you can see he's used a very wide range of lights and darks. It's got really white at one end, really black at the other end. Quite a dynamic painting. So that's what we're going to look at. I'm going to break this down into 3 lessons because it's quite a heavy subject. So today we're mainly going to be looking into the values and how to create a value string, a value scale. So here we have on, I've put a white board out. This is an MDF board that's been gessoed. And at the bottom here I've got black, and at the top I've got white, and that is the start of our values. I want you to just take a look at this. This is a painting that I did of Eugene Delacroix. He's a French painter. Unfortunately, in my little room here, I've managed to rip my canvas, but that can be repaired. What I want you to focus on is the values within this painting. You will notice that the high values come forwards. This is the whites in the painting. They come forwards. And the low values, the dark values, move back in the painting. By using high and low values, we can create form, we can create shape. So the turning of the face within the painting, or depth within a landscape, having something coming forward, something going back. So let's think about that scale. The scale, you could have 40 or 50 different values and it'd be very easy to create that, but you don't need that. And in painting we have 9 or 10 generally, and you can create a portrait by just using 4 or 5, so you don't need all those values. So first of all, the lowest value, I think of it, if you look on the internet and you look for values, you might get them with whites at the top, whites at the bottom, or whatever. We're going to look at it like this. We're going to turn it this way up, and we're going to have a black at the bottom. Black is our lowest value. Think low, under the ground, dark. Yeah? As we come up, so that we would call 0, or 1 if you like, and as the value number gets higher, the value gets higher. So when we get about halfway, 4 or 5, we're at mid-range, mid-value, mid-tone. Quite often you've seen people put a mid-tone on a canvas support before they do anything else. It's a good practice because you've got your mid-tone. In pastels, very often you get the paper that's already got a tone to it. As we go higher, we get up to number 9, and that's the highest value. High in the sky, like the white clouds. Think white clouds, dark under the ground. You can also think of it as, if you're looking into a cave or a deep cavern, it's always very dark, and it always goes back. And you have to look in there, try and see to the back of the cave. If you get a bright light, whoa, it comes at you. You're like this. So the low values go back, the high values come forwards. We can adjust that in a painting as we get better, and we can use high values and actually have them set right back. For instance, in a landscape such as the seascape such as this one, I've got a high value at the back because I want it to ping out. I want you to go towards it and look at it. So sometimes stuff in the background do want high values. The other thing about using paint is different paints have different transparencies or are more opaque. For instance, blacks generally tend to be transparent, but if you put them on thick, they're opaque, so they will start to come forwards. White is generally opaque. It's always a good coverer of other paints if you want to cover something up. But if you put it on really thin, it can be transparent. So we can break the rules where we need to. So here I've put a blob of white as my high value and a blob of black as my low value. So let's look at creating about 9 different values. If we take 50% of each of them and place that in the middle, 50% white, 50% black, and we mix them together, we're creating grey. Grey as we all know it, a black and white. And I think you can see straight away that that is working. That is our grey. Okay, so that's our mid value. So we've got our 0 low value, our 9 high value, and 4 or 5 mid range. If we take a proportion of that mid range and put it in the middle of there and take the same amount of the high value white and put it in there, we get another value. Let's try that. So we get, I'm just going to use my brush to scrape off the knife. Put that in the middle there. I'm also going to take a proportion of that mid value and put it in the middle there. With this one, I will take the same amount of white and mix it in. What we've created there is a value that's higher than this mid value but lower than the high value. I'll do the same here. So we've got our mid value in there, and I'm going to take the same amount of black. This is ivory black that I'm using. You can use any black, it doesn't matter. Ivory black tends to be on the opaque side. It's a little bit more opaque than, say, Mars black. There you go. And you can see straight away there that now we've got a value that's higher than that but lower than that, a value that's higher than that but lower than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values. That would be enough to create an excellent painting. But let's just go in between and do a little bit more. So I'm going to take the proportion of this value and put it in the middle. I'm going to take the same amount of white and mix it in with that. Now I hope that's working on the camera because I can't see how it works, but again it's higher than that but lower than that. And we do the same again here. We take a portion of this in there, a portion of this in there, and we move on down. We'll take a proportion of the middle in there, the same amount in there, and finally the same amount, percentage of this and the same percentage of the black, and we've got a value scale. You don't have to use a palette knife or a painting knife. Remember, this is a painting knife because it's got this bend in it. The palette knife is flat, it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to clean my knife off. Always clean your tools straight away, at least wipe the excess off, because just make it difficult otherwise. So another way we could actually create a value scale. If I was going to work on creating a value scale with my bristle brush, I have the option of working darks to light or lights to dark. Now I would tend to work lights to dark because I don't like cleaning my brush that often. So what I would tend to do is create my first scale by taking the white and making my string of white, and then I would slowly add the black into that just by taking a dot from the edge of my, I've got a dot, I've got too much really. I would then add that into my white, and that would give me the next value. And each time I add a dot, I lower the value. One more dot. And you can see that quite quickly you could get a string of values. Now I'm doing this in black and white. We are going to look at doing it in colour on our third lesson. But for now I want you to just concentrate on creating a string, or make yourself a nice little box with 9 or 10 squares in and colour them in. What you'll find is where the light, the highest value, meets the next one, it looks like you've got a darker line. All that is because this is so high, it makes that bit look darker. When that value comes to the next value that's lower and darker, the bottom of it will look lighter. Optical illusion. So if you want a painting to stand out, you could create something that's dark in the background, and the thing you want to be seen, the focal point, white, bright. Or you could have a bright picture with a dark silhouette. The dark silhouette will stand out. I've got one little picture back here of my granddaughter. I'll just get that out. You can see I'm creating this using high and low values. There's another thing before we go I want you to think about. The value scale is wide. You may get a painting like Turner, for instance, that is only high values. He might use 3 values, 7, 8, 9, a really bright painting. Or you might get something like a Monet that's mid-tone, that's got some slightly darks in it and some light and a mid-value. Or you might get something like Rembrandt that might be really dark. You might start off with black and just move up the scale slightly. Or you get the wide range of chiaroscuro. Next, what we're going to do is create a painting using just 3 values. I hope you'll join me. We're going to create a painting that shows you how to create a sphere. A sphere is important because everything about the head, the cheeks, the nose is spherical, and if you can get a sphere correct, life becomes much more easier. So take care during this close down. Things are changing. Look after yourselves. Think about social distancing. Think about other people, and enjoy yourself. Take care. I'm Mark Turner from Turner's Painting School. See you on the next lesson.